From the journal of Sir Handelian Gregoria. It is said that those early days were spent shrouded in suspicion of their mysterious employer, of the people of Siren's Folly, and of each other. But in their pursuit to do good, a choice was made, and none suspected that, as suspicious as they were, their endeavor to mend a broken family would set into motion something much, much greater. And so, through forest and cave, they came. Last session, our party met in a small town of Siren's Folly and agreed to search for the blacksmith's missing daughter. She seemed to have been kidnapped by Trench of the Gildanian Empire and a band of local goblins. We find them deep in the woods outside the town proper, clinging just inside the tree line, watching a trio of goblins outside the mouth of a cave. Eleonora picked off a scout with the clever use of a snare trap. With just 2 goblins guarding the cave entrance, we attacked. Azalea flung balls of flame at the enemy from a distance, but something felt different. Distracted by a gentle tugging sensation, her focus shifted from the goblins to her spells as she became more aware of the arcane threads that connected her to another place. A place where her flames came from. This time, they didn't come alone. From a world of fire, she extracted a living ball of flames, with large inquisitive eyes like a child, fixed on her. The team made short work of the guards. Dees and Sai looted the bodies while Eleonora stowed her bow and came over to check on her friend. "What is it?" she asked as her griffin companion landed neatly on her shoulder. Azalea looked at it closely, and one word came clearly to her mind. Iblis. His name is Iblis. The ball of fire noticed Eleonora and her friend watching him and quickly rolled up Azalea's arm. He perched on her shoulder like the cat raven and tried to mimic its shape with its own form. I guess he's decided to be a companion just like Corvus. Hope he doesn't shed. The girls joined the group to introduce their new friend. Dee showed off a shiny chain with a rod pendant that he found on one of the guards and a hastily written note on a rough map of the caves. Blood bad, pickles good. Sai led the party inside, making every effort to be stealthy. This was a challenge as a group due to Quilana and Nedium's clinking armor, but she managed to avoid getting ambushed on enemy turf. We passed through what might have been a kitchen with rotting meat on the counters and a large jar filled with red liquid and pickled humanoid fingers, some still wearing their rings. Sai led everyone to a long hallway with a tiled floor. Some of the blocks were painted red and others green. Dees held up the note, "Blood is bad, pickles are good," and steps on a green painted tile. Darts instantly shoot out from the wall as Nedium snatched him back to safety. He reminded him that goblins bleed green, and they pickled fingers, not cucumbers. Pickles are cucumbers? So we tried again on the red tiles and made it through. Deep inside, the halls opened up to a larger cavern. Through the torchlight, the crew found the hulking silhouette of an aging bugbear with gray fur, wielding a large mace and arguing with several goblins. In the far corner stood a cage with a small, curled-up human inside it. Using our surprise advantage, we attacked. With spellcasters taking on goblin shamans and melee fighters squaring off with the bugbear, Aiden stayed in the hallway. We got between them and the cage to make first contact with Hildi. With volleys of fire and flashes of steel, we were the last group standing. We checked through the group's belongings looking for keys and found a charm that matched the pendant from the goblins outside. Together, they formed the Chime of Opening. Ta-da! The bugbear had a letter on his person which read, "Throm, hold the girl until after the arrangement with her father is confirmed. The one I serve will be very disappointed if something should happen to her before then. You know of whom I speak. Do this, and all of Silver Grove shall be your territory. I will be in touch after the deal is made. Trench." The guys focused on releasing Hildi from her cage, while the ladies noticed a strange door in the back of the cave. It had no lock or handle. The door was wrapped in heavy iron chains and pasted with paper seals. Carved into it was a message none of us could read. Aiden traced the shapes with his fingers and cast comprehend languages. Trapped. It's trapped. Unless you intend to kill it, leave it trapped. Sai realizes her new chime of opening would unlock this door, but with Hildi in a weakened state, we agreed to get her home and deal with this later. Aiden rested his hand on Sai's shoulder, sympathizing with her noble desire to protect her charge, but this simply wouldn't do. Heroes don't shy away from danger. A clear tone rang out as Aiden activated the chime he had secretly lifted from Sai. The seals and chains dropped from the frame as the door slid open. Even the broken cage lock popped open. Deez and Nedium froze in the entrance to the hall supporting Hildi. We sent them outside for safety with Aiden, for his safety, so the rest of us could sweep the room. The next cavern was large, dark, and damp. Soft, bioluminescent green moss clung to the dark, wet stones. Iblis's light reflected off a pool of still green liquid. Far out on the water was a stalagmite with a satchel draped over it. Sai tossed a small stone into the pool. We watched as the acid steamed and ripples faded. Something large shot out of the water and scuttled up the walls into the darkness on the ceiling. Kulana fell back, startled. Leering out of the shadows above was a single giant green eye with rows of bright teeth beneath. Kulana gasped. The smells of acid, damp, and magic combined in her senses and pulled her back into a memory. Kulana? Baby, what are you... Kulana, get back! The smell of fresh blood stings in Kulana's nostrils, and the sounds of her companions shouting drag her thoughts back to the present. Kulana? Q, we need you! Azalea called out as she and Iblis sling balls of fire, lighting up the Nothic that's skittering around the walls and ceiling so Kulana could see it properly for the first time. A trail of blood dripped down Azalea's leg. Kulana grabbed hold of her holy symbol and called on her goddess Lamelia. A burst of starlight spread through the space, bolstering her allies and removing their fear. The Nothic's single eye fell on the cleric as rage bubbled up inside her and entangled itself with her own arcana. Bursting out, it inflicted wounds, slicing the Nothic to ribbons instantly, all except for its single eye. Well, fuck. Iblis was able to float across the acid pool without touching it to retrieve the haversack of holding from the pillar it was stuck on. It was expertly crafted leather with silver trim and a word they couldn't read pressed into it. Aiden would later translate it as Xenos. Inside, we found some gold, spell scrolls, and a small black wooden box. The box was sealed and had no lock. We agreed that one magic lock was enough for the day and stuffed it back in the bag and left to meet up with everyone else. The guys had heard meowing on their way back to the cave entrance and stopped by the kitchen again to find a small cage housing a large cat with a collar reading Steffi. One job, 2 bounties. Hildi thanked the group for coming to her rescue, but asked who they were exactly. Your dad's been worried about you. I bet he's eager to get you back home and help with the smithing again. Ha! Hardly. He never lets me help the shop. Thinks I can do better than a blacksmith's life, whatever that means. But I'm sure I can get him to polish your blades when we get home. I could spot your rolled steel from across the cave, she said with a smile. The group refused to give Aiden any information about what happened in the cavern. He whined about it the whole way back, and became even more unbearable when the rain started. When the edge of town came into view, Azalea pulled Sai out of earshot of the crew. She asked her not to make the people who were about to pay us cry. Again. Sai was taken aback and pointed out that Eket had been wrong and she was just telling the truth. Azalea agreed, but suggested that he already knew that and didn't need to be reminded. Their family had been through a lot, and it wasn't our job to point out where they had failed, but to reunite them. They could do the rest of the work on their own. Sai skeptically agreed to avoid any more critical analysis, at least out loud, to avoid more tears. She didn't really understand what Azalea was asking her for, but she wanted to be a team player, so she'd try. At the armory, Hildi rested her hand on the front door for a long moment before pushing it open. The low flame in the furnace silhouetted her father in the dim light. Hildebrand? The two rushed to embrace each other as Ekkid wept with gratitude. Sai got awkwardly close to them and examined Ekkid's face and the creases around his eyes before turning back to Azalea and declaring, "Happy tears!" Just as everyone's sour moods began to lift, Hildi caught sight of a pile her father had just been working on. How dare you? How dare you even consider working for the Empire after what they did to our family? After what they tried to do again? You're not my papa. You're a coward. Ekkid stepped back, clearly wounded by his daughter's scornful words. He staggered back towards the forge and pulled a lever. Infusing more air and fueling the coals, he scooped up the pile of half-made blades and tossed them back into the flames. Hildi, keep the furnace burning hot. We'll need better steel than this if we're gonna fight the Empire. This is both an abridged and embellished retelling of our D&D sessions in our homebrew setting of Lunda Diel. Playing this game has been a labor of love that has bonded a group of relative strangers through imaginary war, loss, triumphs, and fire. These videos are purely meant to entertain, and I will do my best to say anytime we reference another's creation or borrow from other creators. The world was designed to entertain us around our dining room table. I hope you find this retelling of our antics as fun and silly as we do. If you would like to know what happens next, like the video and subscribe. It will help motivate me to stick to a schedule and keep our journey going. Episodes will also be posted to the free tier on JJcanDraw Patreon. Thank you for watching, and I hope to have you back for session 3.